balance changes have been out for a little while now, and I have decided that it's time we give them a ranking on every single card in Clash Royale. This is always exciting because you guys love these videos. I love making these videos, and if you want to see more in the future, definitely leave a like on the video. Now, do keep in mind, this is all my opinion, and make sure to watch until the end to see which cards are S tier, which ones you're gonna not agree with, so then you need to go raging in the comments down below. You're gonna need to let me know. In all seriousness though, we have S tier as the best, we have F tier as the worst, and we're gonna be ranking every single card. How many are there total? There is 107 total cards we are going to be ranking today. So let's get into it. Wizard, you're number one, baby. He's going down in the D or F tier. I gotta go D tier. He's nothing special. 5 elixir. People do use him. That's a fact. But I don't think he's gonna be very good. There's a lot of cheaper answers to him, including the Knight, Ice Golem, Dark Prince, Valkyrie. So many effective answers to Wizard. He's just not gonna be the best in the meta. Simple as that. Obviously, he can work. If you're going with a level 14 Wizard in Arena 12, of course he's going to be solid, but for the most part, Wizard not going to be the best. He's in a couple really good decks. By that, I mean one that I can think of off the top of my head, that one with the Giant Skeleton Hog Rider deck. It's not going to be good in anything else, though. So yeah, Wizard D tier, we're leaving him there. Expo is going to go up. It's going in B tier, very solid. Beforehand, I would probably put Expo in C or D tier, but Expo is very good. I would say B is pretty solid because Expo, guys, it's very strong on the ground. Now, not because the card itself is good, meaning why we can't really put it any higher, but the cards surrounding it are still now very strong. The Ice Spirit buff, the Archer's buff. Those are two massive things that are helping out Expo get from C tier to B tier. I believe in the last tier list we did, Expo was C tier. Now it's moving up to B tier, which I think is a fair rating. It's still got a ton of, obviously, really powerful counters to it, but it's definitely better than it was. Very cool, very cool. That's our first meta-changing switch up there, right? The meta itself, the buffs, and the balance changes have changed to where Expo is on the list. Very interesting. Let me know what you guys think about Expo down below in the comments. Let's go with the Zap spell now. Gonna go in B tier. I'd say it's solid, definitely. And you know, it's a Zap spell. You're getting what you want. It works very well in some decks. It doesn't work in others. In some situations, it's fantastic. And in other situations, it just doesn't make sense to use when you could use a log or arrows or something else. So we're gonna actually move that down to C tier. I don't think it's anything special. It is a Zap spell. That is that. And boom. Let's go on. Zappies, A tier. I think they're underrated. I don't think they're S tier. I think they're very strong, though. Obviously, they have their direct counters, much like Expo, much like many cards. But that's only going to be the Fireball, only going to be a couple select things. The Zappies can get exponential value. They're very strong, especially since they're a stun card against things like Mighty Miner. The Mighty Miner did get a buff. Inferno Dragons, Electro Giants, everything, guys. Zappies can really put in a lot of work against such a wide range of cards. They have to be A tier. They can be so good in so many situations. Battle Healer going in the F tier. She's not that good. I don't think she's very strong. The first F tier, and of course, like I said, this is my opinion. I'm sure some Elixir Golem players make her work, but I always absolutely take a fat dookie on every Elixir Golem player I face because they just can't get it going. The Battle Healer is a free kill, especially when you have a rocket and such. Guys, she's not going to be able to get it done. You don't see her in any real good decks besides the Elixir Golem, and that's because she just doesn't work in any other decks really well. And when I say you don't see her in other decks, right, I'm not talking about mid-ladder. Mid-ladder's got crazy stuff everywhere, but in top ladder especially, right, you really won't see her unless she's in an Elixir Golem deck. So that's why, gotta go F tier, really not getting it done there. Battle Ram going in the B tier, a solid win condition. I would say almost underrated. Only people that know Battle Ram is so good is the bridge spam players, right? They have respect for the Battle Ram because they see how much value it can get. It applies insane pressure for 4 elixir. It's great at kiting. It's speedy. It's really good at dual lane pressure. You really can't underestimate it because when you do, all of a sudden you have a Battle Ram, a Bandit, a Royal Ghost all swarming your tower. You really can't deal with it all, and it's very, very strong in bridge spam decks. Not only offensively, which people seem to forget, it's also used really well on defense, like I said, to kite, to tank, to simply crush, because it's obviously, it can kite things and then the barbs pop out and they can finish it off. Really solid card. We're going to go in B tier there. Bomb Tower, going to go in the B tier. It's solid. It is solid for sure, right? It's got a ton of HP. People do not realize how much health the Bomb Tower has. It destroys Royal Hogs. It can actually sack a little bit of damage from the Earthquake and such. It's going to be a really good building. I wouldn't say it's the best. I wouldn't say it's the worst. Definitely a good building in the meta, though. Bomber, we're going to go ahead and put him in C tier. Certainly not a bad card. Definitely underrated, but I wouldn't say he's strong by any means, right? He's 2 elixir. He's fairly weak. He can get value, but sometimes not really. What really hurt the Bomber is that that range nerf. He really needs to get close to things now in order to toss his bomb, so that oftentimes gets him killed, and against virtually any ranged unit, which is so many things, by the way. Arrows, logs, snowballs, zaps, it's going to tag him up. Some of them are going to take him out, honestly, so he's not going to be used in the best of situations now. There's not too much goblin drill. There is some, obviously. There's definitely some uses for the bomber, but he's just not going to be as effective in many situations. You can use something else, so the bomber's going in the C tier. Bowler, going to go in A tier. This is an easy one for me because the bowler is so good on defense, right? He's got a ton of HP. He's got a ton of pressure he puts on, and also that damage. It's definitely something to take note of. Dude does crazy damage, right? He gets on tower. He does work, especially with a NATO. You can bowler NATO. You can bowler on defense. You can bowler to tank for a graveyard and then push. You can bowler with your giant. You can bowler with all sorts of different things. Very strong card in the meta. Cannon's going in A tier. A lot of people have been putting Cannon in S tier. I don't think it's quite that good. It definitely is pretty weak still. It gets obliterated by earthquakes and such. The Cannon definitely goes down quickly. I would say it's very good just for the elixir cost, right? Only 3 elixir for a building on defense. That is fantastic. It does its damage. It can 100% counter a Hog Rider without the Hog Rider getting placed with anything else. So definitely good there, but I wouldn't say it is S tier by any means. I would just say it's a very good building. Better than Bomb Tower right now, simply because of how many Hog Riders are absolutely everywhere, right? Hog cycles players were everywhere. Obviously, after the Earthquake nerf here, they might tone it down a little bit, but still, I think they're going to be very, very prominent in the meta. So Cannon, definitely a good building. Cannon card going in the A tier. Some would argue, once again, S tier. The Cannon card is fantastic, guys. I love myself some Cannon card. It puts on insane pressure. The damage this thing does is nuts, and once it locks on that tower, I mean, you might as well say goodbye, because it shoots so quickly. Obviously, after death damage is nuts as well, because once you kill it, it's got that after death just absolute statue there, just crushing through everything, turns into a building there. Clone spell, gonna go in D tier. I don't think clone spell's the best right now, right? There's splash damage literally everywhere. You got NATOs, you got arrows, you got electro wizards, you name it. I mean, splash units are literally everywhere. It definitely can work against certain matchups, of course, as can anything, but the clone spell not going to be ideal in this meta. Dark Prince, gonna go in the, I want to go A tier, but we're gonna go B tier for now. We might switch that one. Dark Prince, very solid. Actually, we're gonna go ahead and put him in A tier, right? He's very good. Princes are solid, especially since they can charge over the bridge. I myself really like the Dark Prince, right? That shield is fun. He gets that charge up. It seems like you always get good value out of a Dark Prince. Maybe that's just me. That's how I feel about the Dark Prince, though. Dark Goblin going in A tier. Fantastic card. You love playing with the Dark Goblin, guys. It applies so much pressure for just 3 elixir. So much fun to use, like I said, and obviously it can bait out a ton of spells for your log bait. And once again, it always seems like it gets value unless you accidentally place it in a spell or something. The Dark Goblin shreds. It shoots so quickly. It's got that insane range that it always is going to get hits, whether that be on a tower, a unit, something. The Dark Goblin you got to account for in battle. Archers A tier. They're fantastic right now. I really want to see the archers being used in more different meta decks besides just Expo decks. I think they could be really good in Graveyard. I think they could be good in Golem. I think they could be good in a wide array of things. I want to see more people using the archers, guys. They are definitely a good card after the buff. If you don't know what the buff is, they shoot faster now, and that's actually a big change. I noticed it a ton when I started playing Expo after the buff. It is a ton of fun to play now because the archers are so reliable. They are just as good as that Dark Goblin, guys. Fantastic card right now. Earthquake would have been S tier. It got nerfed. And now we're going B tier. Still solid. It does what it's supposed to, but you cannot use it as a win condition as effectively now. It got a, I believe it was either 22 or 24% decrease in damage to the Crown Tower. It makes sense. It was nuts, right? You could use this thing as a win condition and kill everything and everybody and all their towers. But now it's definitely nerfed to a spot where it's in a controlled spot, right? It does what it does, and it does what it's supposed to do for 3 elixir. That's what we like to see. You never want to see a card that's too broken, right? Everyone was running a Hog Quake. Everyone was running Royal Delivery and Royal Hogs Earthquake Cycle. It was just ridiculous. It had to get the nerf. Honestly, maybe C tier even, but yeah, no, it's better than the Zap. But I just don't see it being obviously as strong as it was because it caught that nerf. Electro Dragon, we're going to go C tier. It's solid. It can be good. I would say nothing better. It's definitely on the level of the Bomber. That's a very fair place for it to be at. Electro Giant, we're gonna go D tier. Some people still make it work. I don't know how. Obviously this list doesn't have his 7 elixir, but he's really not as good because the hit points crush him now. it's very easy to kill him. Very, very easy to kill him. He doesn't have enough hit points, really. At least in my experience, he has not been able to get to the tower pretty much at all. And when he does, it's way less punishing because the towers can take him out in fewer hits. So, yeah, Electro Giant, not in the best spot. Obviously, for good reason, though, because sometimes in mid-ladder, if you catch a level 16 or level 14 Electro Giant, obviously, it's going to be a nightmare to deal with because the shock damage really does add up. But right now, not going to be the best at top ladder, especially. I mean, people are going to deal with that all day, every day. Easily free real estate because, guys, there's buildings, there's cycles, there's ranged units like the Dark Goblin, the Zappies, the cannon cart. Everything's gonna shred this dude. He's gonna have no chance of getting to the tower. You cannot justify putting him above D tier. That's my opinion. Let's go with the Electro Spirit, A tier Spirit. Fantastic Spirit in the game right now, guys. I love myself some Electro Spirit gameplay. Such a good card. It's obviously always a get in value, especially against graveyards, especially against any sort of swarm unit. It can go really well in log bait, and I know myself absolutely loves this variation with the Electro Spirit. I used to use Ice Spirit, I switched to the Electro Spirit, and I haven't looked back, so that should definitely tell you something. Next up, we got Electro Wizard, and he's an easy A tier for me, right? Super common to use, super powerful whenever you use him. That Zap ability is clutch, and the Zap effect is massive against Sparkies. Anything you might face. I really love me some Electro Wizard gameplay. The Elite Barbs, gonna go in B tier. They're solid, they do what they're supposed to, putting in work. They can definitely be used as a win condition, and of course can do so much damage. I mean, those, I guess most on top ladder, you shouldn't use them as a win condition, but they can be used as a win condition on ladder, depending on your trophy range, of course, right? High level Elite Barbarians really do put in work. Elixir Pump. I want to go S tier with it, but I feel like the comments are going to go crazy. It's good. You gotta admit, when they don't have an answer to it, it's game over. It's straight up game over. You cannot stop the amount of elixir the opponents get. Now, I don't think it's broken. I do think that it is a very strong card in the game, and not just the card, the entire deck's playstyle of Pump is back, and it's so good. I don't know if it's better than ever, but I would say it's extremely good right now. I've been getting dominated by it. I've been seeing people crush with it. I have Jax on my friend link. He's absolutely crushing people with it. So much fun to watch. A very strong card, and I do know actually a lot of the top players in ladder right now are using it for a reason, right? Very cool card to see. We're gonna leave that S tier. I want to know what you guys think about that. It might be too high. It might only need to be A tier, but we're gonna leave it in S tier. We're making a statement out here, guys. That is a big one, because the fact that it went from F tier to S tier is definitely something to be said. It's one of those cards where a little tweak can go a long way. You got to keep that in mind, right? 60 elixir, if you're getting 80 elixir out of it every time you place, it's like an investment. It's going to pay off over time, especially if they don't have an answer to it, guys. Craziness out here. Elixir Golem, you guys know my thoughts on this. This card is trash, bro. You need to get a 3 crown with the Elixir Golem, or else you lose the game pretty much. Most cases, right? I mean, he just feeds elixir, especially if the opponent doesn't know what you're doing, right? If you're going with an Elixir Golem and you just give them free elixir, it's probably game over. It can be literally losing you games out here in just one push. So not the best. Executioner is going to go C tier. Better than Wizard. Worse than all of these. He's not too bad. He's going to get the job done, but I myself am not a fan of him. Even though he's in some meta decks, people make him work. I'm not a big fan of it, like I just said. Really just too much elixir. For the 5 elixir card, just kind of like Wizard. Similar to Wizard, I'd say a little bit stronger though. Fire Spirit's going to go in B tier. This is probably a big controversial one. I don't like Fire Spirit nearly as much as the Electro Spirit, guys. Its radius, after that nerf, it's not as good. It's just not. The Electro Spirit can be used in so many more situations. It takes out a minion horde maybe better than the Electro Spirit, but the Electro Spirit will still take out the minion horde in the correct placement. You really just gotta know what you're doing. I get that the Electro Spirit's a free king to activation sometimes. You just gotta make sure they don't get the free king to activation. It's very easy to do if you really know what you're doing with the Electro Spirit and you don't just send it at the tower by itself. Obviously, it's gonna be a free king to activation if you do that. If you know not to do that, then it normally, like, I play Electro Spirit so often, and I very rarely have the opponents activate the King Tower on me. So if that's your main thing against the Electro Spirit, I would say grow up, get better, and make sure to not do that, because I don't know what you're doing, but I rarely get that King Tower activation against me. But anyways, the Fire Spirit, yeah, not as good as the Electro Spirit. A lot of bias going into this one, but I think it's warranted, right? The Fire Spirit, come on now. It's got such a small radius. I get the damage is fine, but you really don't need your Spirit as a win condition. It's so easy to counter. It's really not a good argument, in my opinion. Let's go with the arrows, B tier. Very solid. Arrows are going to be solid in obviously so many good decks like Graveyard, Golem. Arrows, very, very good. They're one of those spells that, you know, it's a staple spell. Everyone's going to be using them. Fireball, A tier. Very, very good. Honestly, we're going S tier. I mean, you have to go S tier with the Fireball. Fireball is literally huge, man, because it's that staple spell, kind of like arrows, except way better. You always are getting value out of this Fireball. It can be used as a win condition. It can be used as a cycle card. It can be used to defend so many things, guys. Awesome, awesome stuff there. Let's go with the Firecracker. She would actually be S tier if she did not get so many King tier activations. We got to go A tier. Firecracker's fantastic, though. I love the Firecracker. 3 Elixir Menace out here. It's so hard to kill her if you don't have arrows or log or anything to take her out, guys. It is so frustrating. She always gets value. She can tag up the tower. She can obviously get you King tier activation as well. So it's a little crazy, but I would say very fun card. When you, I don't know, maybe not fun, but she's definitely something. She's definitely something. So yeah, Fisherman going in the B tier. Dude, Fisherman's a tough one because the best of the best make Fisherman seem like the greatest card in the game, but your average players just don't get it done with him. We got to go A tier, though. You got to respect the Fisherman grind. He's one of those cards where, I mean, it obviously takes a pretty high skill cap to play him efficiently. You got to get King tier activations with him. You got to avoid taking damage with him. The placements are huge. The knowledge, the timing, it's all big on how you can win with the Fisherman, guys. It's a good card. A tier. If you can get really good with the Fisherman, you can make a lot happen. I got a couple people I can think of just off the top of my head that really clutch up with the Fisherman. So definitely a good card in the meta. Flying Machine going in is the A tier, simply because, not because it's in too many meta decks, but because it's just a good card. You really do need to Fireball it or place a Mega Minion or something of the sorts to get a good Elixir trade on it, because, I mean, it seems like it always gets value, guys. In the middle of the river, if you don't have a direct answer to it, it will just sit there and cook in Lava Clone, in Fireball Bait. The Flying Machine is the star of the show, and it's what gets you sometimes such a big Elixir advantage against your opponents, because it's always sitting there and just cooking up shop, getting that value. I love the Flying Machine personally. I hate going against it. I'm sure some of you guys can relate to that. Let's go with the Freeze spell real quick. Freeze! Let's go. I want to say B tier, but we can't go B tier, can we? Can we? I don't know. I mean, Graveyard Freeze is huge right now. Lumberloon Freeze fell off hardcore, but the Graveyard Freeze is good enough to where maybe Graveyard caught a nerf, but it's not. Who cares, right? It's only one skeleton. I think we gotta go C tier. I mean, dude, Freeze is Freeze spell. Like, it's only so good. That's a tough one. This is a tough one for me. I mean, I'm sure you guys would agree. Freeze spell is between B and D tier. So let's meet in the middle and go C tier. There we go. There we go. Whatever you guys think, B, C, or D, comment down below. What tier is the freeze spell in? I want to know. Furnace is D tier. It's trash. So much earthquake, so much fireball, so much poison. You're not going to want to use the furnace. It's extremely toxic and annoying as well. Don't use the furnace. If you're watching this video and you do, upgrade something else, dude. Stop doing that to your opponents. Let's go with the Giant in B tier. And the weird thing about Giant is a lot of the Graveyard decks that were really strong with him, the Giant was not the problem, in my opinion. It was the Graveyard, it was the Witch, it was the Skeleton King, it was the Spam that went along with the Giant. The Giant was just a cheap yet tanky dude. Very solid. I mean, B tier is solid, but I wouldn't go higher than B tier just because the decks with Giant are insane does not always mean that the card is going to be insane in itself. A lot of Giant double Prince decks, I mean, they're so free wins for me at least. Giant gets shredded real quick, guys, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, Giant, not going to go higher than B tier there. Giant Skeleton, pretty bad situation going on, man. Giant Skeleton really not going to be too much of a anything going on, literally. In the arena, this dude is elusive. You never even know what's happening. Snowball, we're going A tier. I would say Snowball is better than the Earthquake and Arrows because of that knockback, because of the stun, because of the 2 Elixir value, right? You can counter a Goblin Barrel for 2 Elixir. You can crush a bunch of Swarm units for 2 Elixir, and Snowball can be absolutely massive. You can get King Tower activations with Snowball if they mine are in the bad spot. You can get all sorts of value with Snowball. It's such a fun and versatile card. I really do enjoy using it. Goblin Barrel is going to go in the S tier for me, guys. It is so good with the mirror. I've been having so much fun on ladder. Goblin Barrel is my favorite card. It should be yours too, and if it's not, I encourage you to try it out just to have some fun with it, guys. Goblin Barrel, 3 Elixir Menace. That's his nickname. Absolute madness on the arena, especially with the mirror. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Goblin Barrel level 16 doesn't die to the Barbarian Barrel. That's free damage in so many matchups where before you'd have really rough times. Guys, it's crazy out here. It's crazy out here. The mirror just makes it so much fun. Baby Dragon going to go in C tier. I'd say it's on the level of the Electro Dragon. It can be good, it can be bad. You just never know, right? Similar in style. The Goblin Brawler going to go in C tier. Maybe B tier, yeah. It's nothing too crazy. I feel like the bomb tower is better than the goblin barrel. So let's go ahead, move bomb tower up to A tier. Goblin cage going to stay B tier. That is honestly really interesting, and I kind of vibe with it because it makes sense to me, right? Goblin Cage, it's definitely B tier, right? It's pretty solid. Bomb Tower, I'm fine with being an A. That's all good. It's all good. But yeah, really interesting changes, right? Goblin Drill going in A tier. A lot of people didn't expect that. I know that's a fact. So many top players are using it. So many top players crush with it. Morton, I can think, I mean, Asaf, everyone, dude. Everyone using it. A surprising amount, I'll say. A surprising amount of top players are using it. And it's because you can consistently chip your opponent's towers down for just 4 elixir. It really does put in work, and the cycle power with it is so much fun, guys. Goblin Gang, it's in a rough spot. It's in a real rough spot. D tier. We're going low. That might be the lowest Goblin Gang has ever been at on one of my lists, guys. It's really not worth the value. You're better off with guards. You're better off with a cheaper cycle card like one of the skeletons, Ice Spirit. Goblin Gang is falling off, dude. It's really not a part of the meta in any way, shape, or form. D tier is pretty low, guys. D tier is pretty low. If you're using Goblin Gang in your log bait, I would start rethinking things, right? Definitely do not want the Goblin Gang in there. Like I said, some substitutions are Dark Goblin. Oh, guards, Princess. I mean, literally anything else, dude. Literally anything else. Goblin Cut Giant. Gonna go in B tier. Very solid win condition. I really like using him myself. I used his deck with him a little while back. Him and Sparky. I was a big fan of it. I had a lot of fun. Seemed like a strong card. Really knew what he was doing. Was able to get extra value with those Spear Goblins sometimes, which was nice. Goblin Hut, once again, this one's actually going in the F tier. You really, I mean, we'll go Furnace level. We will go Furnace level. Once again, don't use it. Don't do that to your opponents. You don't want to be a part of the problem. Be a part of the solution and stop using it. Spawners are no fun. They should get deleted from the game. Oftentimes, they're free wins, but the games last way too long, and obviously, it doesn't take any skill to place a spawner down. Pretty annoying stuff. Goblins going to go in the same tier as Bomber. Like they appear, they do stuff, but it's nothing too crazy. I wouldn't worry about the Goblins at all, guys. Let's go ahead and go with the Golem in C tier. Golem's really not the best right now. He's not the worst, but he's just there. He's just there. Honestly, with Electro Giant. Honestly, with Electro Giant. I'm not seeing too many Golem players. Oftentimes, they're free wins. There's just not enough going on with Golem at the moment. It's kind of like Electro Giant, where oftentimes I see Golem players just struggling to get to the tower because there's so much spam, cycle, and repeat that they just cannot break through. Craziness. Graveyard, after the nerf, still going to be A tier. It is a very strong deck. I mean, it's just the free spell can carry it, the snowball can carry it, other cards can carry it. The one last skeleton is kind of a slap in the face to everyone who wanted Graveyard nerfed because it really won't do anything. It's the whole nature of the card that's making it so strong. Obviously, if they took away like 5 skeletons, that would be a big deal. But 1 skeleton is not a big enough change. You still get guaranteed damage with it. There's still so many cards in the deck, including Skeleton King, other stuff like that, that just are still so strong. You gotta admit, Graveyard is fantastic. Guards, going to go up to the S tier. Guards are so strong still. They're going to be putting in work. And what I'm loving to see up here is some new faces, right? Guards in S tier, Goblin Bell in S tier, Elixir Pump in S tier. Fantastic stuff around here, guys. Guards, such a strong card. I would argue the strongest swarm unit. Even though they got shields, even though they can be taken out easily, they are getting so much value always for me. You gotta love it. Heal Spirit, let's go ahead and go in the C tier. I wouldn't go B tier because, I mean, Heal Spirit before would be F tier. It's moving up to C tier because of the balance changes, right? It definitely can work well in the Elixir Pump decks. I wouldn't say it's the main star of the show. I wouldn't say it's making those decks OP, but it definitely helps. So we'll go B tier with the Heal Spirit. Something interesting to note. Let's go with the Balloon. Let's go with the C tier. It works. It's not good. We'll go D tier with it, actually, because the balloon, I mean, if you have a building and you don't screw up the placements, the balloon is a free win. They can't get to your towers. Even balloon freeze is not good anymore. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Hog Rider, dude. It's a really good win condition right now. Everyone's using it now. Is that because of the Earthquake? Probably. Earthquake got nerfed. Hog Rider usage is still going to go down, but I would say Hog Rider S tier. It's been insane for so long. You have so many sweaty cycle decks with the Hog Rider, where if the right players using them, they will win like 80% of the time. It's not even fair. Hog Cycle has been a thing. It's been strong. I would be okay with a Hog Rider nerf. I know a lot of people want it, but I'm just saying, Hog Rider's been really good for a really long time. It's always been a staple win condition. It's always been a popular win condition, not to mention Hog 2.6, even though it's not the best. I mean, it's always been a thing, and it's so popular because of how easy it is to spam Hog Riders, and that's just the nature of the card, it seems. The spam is what makes it so strong. What are your thoughts on the Hog Rider? I want to know down below in the comments. Let's go. Hunter, what you got for me? We're going to go A tier. Hunter's real solid. I love myself some Hunter gameplay, guys. He's so satisfying on defense. When he gets that crazy value, he can get a ton of damage as well. I'm going to go in the C tier. Obviously, it can be good in certain situations, but overall, not going to be ideal. I mean, it does what it's supposed to, right? Just like a bomber, like it does what it's supposed to. Not gonna be the best, not gonna be the worst. It's a good card. Ice Spirit, gonna go in A tier. After the, honestly, we're going S tier with it. Nah, Ice Spirit is crazy. I would say it is probably the strongest spirit right now. Maybe not always in value, but in terms of what it can do, I mean, the fact that things get slowed for that long, I believe it was like 0.3 seconds. It might be different than that. I don't know. That was just what I'm thinking. I think it is. Let me check real quick. Its freeze duration is 1.3 seconds. That's massive, dude. That is so big. That can make the difference between games, boys. So it's got to go in the S tier for me. Another new face in the S tier. This is looking nuts, and I'm a big fan of it. Let's go. Ice Wizard, boys. Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. Ice Wizard's solid, dude. B tier. He works. He's in a lot of great decks. He does what he's supposed to, and he does it well. Very good at slowing things down. He's got that area splash damage, which is nice. A solid B tier card. Inferno Dragon, going to go in the A tier. There's a lot of Zappies. There's a lot of E-Wiz. There's a lot of answers to the Inferno Dragon with the Electro Spirit, Ice Spirit, Inferno, Electro Dragon, Zap Freeze. I mean, but it's still going to get insane value in some situations. The Inferno Dragon, you gotta love it. Inferno Tower, S tier, baby! Let's go! Number 1 building in the game, in my opinion. The Inferno Tower is crazy. It's always getting value. It's always being a menace. It's always giving you guys the clutches you need in order to win on defense. Logbait players, you know what I'm saying right now. I'm not being biased in any way, shape, or form, trust me. Guys, Inferno Tower is just that good. For 5 elixir, unless they have a lightning, life is good. You're getting it done with the Inferno Tower. Inferno Tower players, you know how it is. If you're not using the Inferno Tower, you're confused by this choice, play the Inferno Tower in any deck, and you will guaranteed be better. Trust me, bro, that is epic. Let's go with the Knight in A tier. Honestly, B tier, it's good. Once again, it does what it's supposed to, and it does it well. A lot of good cycle decks carry the Knight because he's cheap, and he's got that HP. He does some decent damage, not to mention, guys, crazy, awesome card. Let's go with the Lava Hound in C tier. Lava Hound, you know, it's Lava Hound. It's always been Lava Hound. It's always Lava Hounding around. It's not bad. It does what it's supposed to. It tanks, and that's not really the reason. I mean, it's not too dominant in the meta, I would say. It's really not. Lightning, A tier. A tier. I almost want to say S tier. Dude. I feel like Lightning is so underrated compared to other spells, because the value you can get is just unmatched, man. It is really good. You can take out like 15 elixir worth with Lightning. You really can. It's a high A tier for me. It's close to S tier. Those of you wondering why it's not an S tier, it's very close. I really do want to put it in there. Man, this Lightning is such a good card because, I mean, it fully counters the Archer Queens. It fully counters so many things. We gotta put it S tier. It's so good in so many different meta decks. Not to mention, it fully counters the Elixir Golem. It fully counters the Goblin Barrel. Obviously, I'm just kidding. But no, it actually does counter the Elixir Golem beautifully. Elixir Pump, sorry. So it's gotta be up there. It's gotta be. Dude, Lightning, especially with the 3M coming back. S tier. S tier. We're calling it right now, dude. S tier for the Lightning. It's huge. It is straight up huge. Bandit, A tier, very solid. Lumberjack, B tier, very solid. Lumberjack, you know, it's good in the Golem decks. Magic Archer, A tier, though. A lot of minor wall breakers. Magic Archer decks coming at you. And I mean, I gotta say, with the NATO, the Magic Archer's dirty. The Magic Archer is so dirty. And Bridge Spam, of course. He is always going to be kind of solid. Like that Flying Machine. Can really get some good value and be used as a win condition. Mega Knight. He's seen better days. He has seen better days. Man, this dude sucks now. It is such... So if you guys don't know, he got nerfed. When he spawns in, that drop damage does significantly less damage. And it is so noticeable. It's painfully noticeable that he does, he's so squishy now compared to before. Not health-wise. Just he really doesn't do that much damage coming down. And that can hurt in so many defenses. I am not a fan of it at all. I stay away from him now, personally. But I'm sure some people are still playing him. Mega Minion, we're going to go A tier. Can get some really good value. Minor, A tier. It's super situational. Super good value oftentimes. And like I said, the minor cycle is back. It's very good in the meta. Mini P.E.K.K.A is right up there with a Lumberjack. Very solid Tank Buster, B tier. Just like the Elite Barbs, doing well. Minion Horde gonna go in C tier. People make it work with the bait decks. They do. And the mirror now especially. But I mean, it's not gonna be able to go higher than this. I'd say that's a very fair rating, right? Normally I'd put them lower because they always just get arrows. They're spelled down. There's a lot of splash damage, right? But I gotta give them credit. I mean, I've been seeing some players pulling it out with Minion Horde. So definitely interesting stuff. Minion's gonna be in the same deal here. Not too prominent in the meta. Definitely in a couple decks, but for the most part, it's an okay card. It's an okay card. Mirror. S tier, baby. So much fun. So powerful. The entire meta has shifted. The entire game has shifted. It is nuts, and I am here for it because it is so much fun. Like I said, you can mirror Hog Riders, baby. You can mirror Inferno Towers, Elixir Pumps, Goblin Bells, Fireballs, you name it. The mirror does it all. The +2 levels makes the difference, and I'm a huge fan of it. Things like Rockets, things like Princesses, Dark Goblins. You can catch your opponents off guard in so many fun ways. I am a big fan of that change. Mortar, A tier. Actually, B tier. It's good, it's good, it's good. Just like Expo, it's a lot of the cards around it that make it so good, I would say, in certain situations. But yeah, Barb Barrel, it's going to go down to C tier. This is the lowest we've seen Barb Barrel ever on one of these tier lists, and the reason is it can't counter a Goblin Barrel now that's mirrored. It's not going to get as much value. It's going to be, like a lot of these cards, good in certain decks, but other than that, you really will not see the Barb Barrel as much at all. And that's something crazy I didn't think I would say, but it's the same deal as Zap. Zap spell just does not make sense to use in certain decks, and that's how Barb Barrel's going to be now, guys. Craziness, man. Let's go with the Mother Witch in D tier. Really not seeing too much of her. Musketeer's very good. Very good card. I'm going to go ahead and put her in the A tier. No, let's go B. B is solid. Night Witch, F tier. Very, very bad. Easy to deal with. The Bat's the whole thing. When she dies, that's it. I mean, it's not good. It's on the same level of these cards where it literally maybe works in one deck, and that is all. P.E.K.K.A going in the B tier. Reason being, a lot of people are going to have problems with this, and it is the lowest I've rated P.E.K.K.A maybe ever. And I have a problem with it too. I don't want to rate P.E.K.K.A this low, but guys, you have to understand, P.E.K.K.A is going to be pretty, it's going to be in a rough situation. I know, I'm the bear of bad news. It's going to be in a rough situation, guys. There's so many Psycho cards. The guards are nuts. The Dark Princes. There's so many one-unit skeletons going around. There's so many Zappies, Flying Machines, Spam, Inferno Towers. The P.E.K.K.A is going to get tossed around. It's really going to get tripped up by so many things. I don't think P.E.K.K.A is going to be very good this season. It's going to be tough. I mean, it's too early to fully say, but it's not looking good for the P.E.K.K.A. It's going to really be carried by a lot of the other cards in Bridge Spam. Bridge Spam is going to be having a rough situation, guys. It's just how it is. It's always been rough and difficult to outplay Spam players that can just spam a million things down to counter your P.E.K.K.A and stuff, right? It's very difficult to break through that. So that's just how it's going to be. That's the situation at hand. Let's go in with the Poison at A tier. Very, very solid. Not as good as Fireball, but definitely really good. Definitely should be noted. Prince going to go ahead and go in the B tier. I would say it's definitely worse than the Dark Prince. Pretty solid though, not too bad. Princess A tier, up there with the Firecracker. Really solid in log bait decks. Really good in certain variations. And that's what's going to make her A tier for me. That's plenty. She gets a lot of guaranteed damage. She can get a lot of value. And unless you have arrows, log, fireball, something to take her out real easily, she can be super pesky. Rage spell going to go ahead down to C tier. It's actually right in there with the freeze, which is interesting, but honestly, the rage spell really not too bad. It's definitely in a couple strong decks, so that is a fact. Let's go with the Ram Rider in B tier. It's still okay. It's not A tier or S tier like it was. It's definitely going to be able to do what it can, but it's just not the same, so I really cannot expect the same slow from the Ram Rider, obviously, after that nerf. Interesting stuff, Rascals. What you got for us? We're going B tier. We're going B tier. They're solid. I wouldn't say they're overpowered. They really aren't used a lot, which definitely says a lot. In Rascals, I mean, you get what you get. You get what you expect. 5 elixir, you get the tank, you get the 2 girls. The problem is there's so much log and stuff. Oftentimes, the 2 Rascal girls do not get any value. They just get logged or splashed down. But still, it definitely is a good card. We are getting to the end, and the champions are the final 4 cards. Interesting. All right, let's go. Barb Hut, F tier, horrible card. Rocket, S tier, just kidding. We can't go S tier with it. We're going to go A tier, though. Really solid A tier. It makes a lot of log bait decks. It makes a lot of cycle decks. Rocket is fire, dude. Actually, yeah, we're going S tier. I'm not even lying. These big spells are going to be huge against the 3M meta. You got to trust me, guys. The elixir pumps are going to need to go down. The 3 musketeers are going to need to go down. You're going to get some crazy value out of that rocket. Royal delivery, A tier, and it's only because of the Royal Hog spam. It's a really valuable spell in that deck. It does the splash damage. It provides a ground tank. It's a really fun card. Royal Ghost, going to go in the A tier. Really good at applying that pressure for just 3 elixir, just like the Bandit. Very, very solid, guys. You got to admit, Royal Ghost can put in that work. And when he's mirrored, by the way, he goes crazy. Definitely try it out if you have not already. Royal Giant going in the C tier. He does what he does. He's not the best at it, but he's not the worst at it. I'm not a fan of RG. Let me know what you guys think. Right now, I feel like when I play him, there's too many buildings. There's too much spam. It's not going to be ideal, and that's going to be why he's going to be in the C tier. Royal Hogs are going to go in the A tier. There's reason being is they aren't S tiers because there's definitely some easy counters to the Royal Hogs. What makes them so strong was the Earthquake, but now that we see the Earthquake nerf, right, they aren't going to be able to be super effective. So the Royal Hogs going to stay in that A tier. Very, very interesting. Royal Recruits, we're going to go in B tier. They're solid. They do their job. Skarmy, we're going to go in the A tier. In the lower arenas especially, Skarmy is one of the best cards you can use. And especially now, I mean, it still works in a lot of top decks, whether that be Double Barrel Bait. I'm trying to think here. Golem decks can have Skarmy. What's the other one I'm missing? Graveyard. Graveyard decks can have Skarmy. Skeleton King decks can have Skarmy. Very solid card. Skeleton Rail going to go in the B tier. It does what it's supposed to. Very, very solid. Skeleton Dragons will go D tier. They really aren't the best. They definitely get the job done. 1 unit Skeletons, the best Psycho card in the game. One of my favorites, guys. Maybe actually not with the Ice Spirit. But yeah, 1 unit Skeletons, guys. Super fun card to play. Barb's going to go in the C tier. They work in certain decks. Sparky C tier. They work in certain decks. Spear Gobs, very good at chipping stuff down. Tesla, super good in the cycle. Log, easy S tier. Holy cow, how did we just drag in the Night Witch? Log is S tier. We have a ton more S tiers than normal. 3M S tier, so strong. Tombstone A tier, even after the nerf, it's going to be very good. And the reason why we're going at 3M S tier, guys, is like we said, the Elixir Pump meta is here, baby. It's going to be so strong. It's going to be so fun. Tornado A tier, it can make a lot of games winnable that should not be winnable. It counters the Hog Rider. It can get a bunch of King activations. The value in NATO is ridiculous. Valkyrie A tier, definitely going to be above the Knight still because that splash damage. You just cannot get better than that, guys. Wall Breaker is going to be A tier as well. Very good with the Miner. Very good at applying that pressure quickly. And the Witch, going to go in the B tier. Let's go C tier. Let's go C tier. Only good in the Giant Witch deck, and the Witch is really not the reason why that deck is good. Bat's going to go in the A tier. They can get a lot of value. Nah, we're going B tier. We're going B tier. Bats are not the best. They can get a lot of value, of course. They can. They can be good. Archer Queen, S tier. I hate doing it. We all know why. Golden Knight, we're going to go A tier. After the... Okay, we'll go B tier. There's still a ton of answers to him, but after the balance change, I mean, where he would have been D or F, now he's up to B. That is a big upgrade, and especially big for those 3M players, like we were saying. Skeleton King, gonna be fantastic. We gotta go S tier with him. We gotta go S tier, guys. I thought you thought I was going A tier. Nah, Skeleton King is still dirty. Very strong card in the meta. Gonna be really strong. And the Mighty Miner going in A tier, dude. So even though the Golden Knight is the worst champion, in my opinion, I think it's going to be still very strong. Think about it, a lot of these cards in B tier are still strong for sure, especially in certain situations, right? But the Mighty Miner, I mean, after this buff, it's receiving, it's going to be much stronger now. If you didn't know, he was buffed. He's not going to get knocked back as much. It's going to be absolutely insane. So I hope you guys enjoyed. We're going to go ahead and scroll through and check if we need any changes. But other than that, this is going to be our finalized list. For S tier, we have the Elixir Pump, Fireball, Goblin Barrel, Guards, Hog, Log, Ice Spirit, Inferno Tower, Lightning, Mirror, Rocket, Skeletons, Log, 3M, Archer, Queen, Skeleton, King. I think that's fair. I think that's a fun, unique S tier, and that is super interesting because what I'm noticing is there is a ton of spells in here. There's Fireball, Log, Goblin Barrel, Lightning, Rocket, Mirror. That is the most spells we've ever seen in S tier, and that is really interesting that a lot of these cards are also Psycho cards, right? You have the Ice Spirit, Guards, you have the Log, you have the 1-unit Skeletons. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a spammy season, but I think it's still going to be a lot of fun, so definitely don't count yourself out. If you're using any of these cards on the C tier and below, make sure you double check, like, hey, maybe I should swap something out in my deck that's a little bit better in the meta. One of these cards in the top half of this thing could probably fill that spot, maybe a little better. Obviously, it all depends on card levels and stuff, but still a really fun time. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. If you want to see more content, comment down below video ideas. But thank you guys so much for watching today. Master Diddy-san,